All right, now, Harsimran, what do you notice about my computer? That it sucks. Other than that, we're going to wait a moment. What is that? That's a point, right? What is that? That's a slope, right? Okay. So the question is, why is this the equation of that line? Okay? So this is the equation. It's telling me that this is the equation. And I told you guys that when you do this, the points on the line, it starts at those opposite, right? So watch. The x is -3, right? So I can rewrite this as 4, and instead of x, I'm going to put -3 because that's the point, right? -3 plus 3. And the y is y minus 5, right? Because it's 5. 5 minus 5. What is 5 minus 5? 0. Excellent. What is 4? What's -3 plus 3? 0. What's 4 times 0? 0. So 0 equals 0. That's why that point is the starting point. Understand? Okay. And then why is this the same equation? Well, if I get rid of all these brackets, I end up with that. So even though it looks different, the line on the graph will be exactly the same. Cool? Okay. Number 9 was the next thing somebody asked about. And I suggested you do all of number 9. So if I show you 1, you will all be like, oh, that's how you do it. Okay. So let's look at this very first one here, right? I have this line. It's drawn right here, right? I'll zoom in a little because it will be helpful. You see that this line right here goes from that point to that point. Yes? Everyone agrees? Okay. What can I do when I have 2 points on the line? I can find the slope, can't I? So the slope went from -4 up to 4. What's that? -4 up to 4. What is that? 8. So it had a rise of 8 over a run, and it went from +4 all the way down to -2. What's that? -6, correct? Now, we would never write a fraction that way. We would write that as -4 over 3, right? So that's my slope. Does everyone agree? Everyone sees how I found it, right? Now, I have a slope now, and what is that? That's a point, isn't it? So if I have a slope and a point, I can do point-slope form, can't I? So point-slope form is y minus, what's this y value? 4 equals m, slope, -4/3, x minus, what's this x value? -2. So x minus -2 is really x plus 2. And that is the equation over here. Everybody cool? Could you now do it with all 3 of these? Or do I need to do another? I don't mind doing another. I got time. Another? Okay, which one? 4? Sure. So 4, I've got that point right there, right? And that point right there, right? So the first thing I got to do is find the slope. So I go from -2 up to 1, 2, 3. So I went up 5, right? And then I went over from 1 over to -1, which is -2, correct? So my slope is 5 over -2. Everybody cool with that? Okay. And that's a point on the graph, right? 1 minus 2. So y minus -2 is y plus 2 equals slope, -5/2, bracket x minus 1. So I just write it as 1. Is everybody good? Going once? Going twice? Yes. No, I'm doing point slope form. Okay, now the question down here says to change this into slope intercept form. If you're bad at that, don't worry. Today we're going to be moving around equations, other equations, so we'll practice that today as well. Okay? So don't worry so much if your 9b was a little poopy. Everybody good? All right, now what was the next question? Somebody asked about 11, I believe, correct? Okay, so write an equation for these lines, right? Okay, so I need slope point form and slope intercept form. Really, I only care about point slope form right now because this lesson was on point slope form, right? Point slope form, y minus y1 equals mx minus x1, correct? And these are the points that you know, and this is the slope, right? Okay. Is this 2 points that I know? Is this 2 points that I know? Okay, so that means I could put either the yellow or the green in where? Where in here can I put the yellow and the greens? Either here and here or there and there. Okay? Everybody with me? So, if I was doing the yellow one, it would be y minus minus 2, which would be what? Oh, sorry, minus minus 5, because it's the y value. My mistake. It would be y minus minus 5, which would be what? Y plus 5 equals m. X minus minus 2, which would be x plus 2. Or it would be y minus 1 equals m x minus 1, correct? Okay, now, what is the problem right now? We don't have slope. How can we find slope when we have 2 points? y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So, if I go to here, I do 1 minus minus 5, which is 1 plus 5, over 1 minus minus 2, which is 1 plus 2, right? 5 plus 1 is 6. 1 plus 2 is 3. 6 divided by 3 is 2. So that's my m. So where does that go? Right there or right there. And then you have 2 equations for the same line. Everybody cool? Should I do one more of those? No problem at all. That's what I am here for. You want to do C? Okay, let's do C. So C has -3, -7, 2, and 8. Where can I put some of those numbers? We're doing C right now. Where can I put some of those numbers in this form? Where are some of those numbers allowed to go? Y1 and X1. So I could put Y what? Plus 7, because it's minus 7, right, Isha? Equals X plus 3. Or, what's the other one I could do? Y minus 8 equals X minus 2. Now, what goes in for M? Y2 minus Y1 over X2 minus X1. And that could go in both of them. Does everybody understand? So, what would I do here? I would do 8 plus 7, because 8 minus 7 is 8 plus 7, right? Over 2 minus 3, which is 2 plus 3, right? 2 plus 3, which is 8 plus 7 is 15, 2 plus 3 is 5, which is 15 over 5, which is 3. So what would I write here? 3. Is everybody cool? Yeah? All right. Anything past 11? I think somebody asked for 13, didn't they? No? I don't remember. 18. Yes, I can. Because that's what I'm here for. 18. We're doing this one right here. So, in Alberta, the population in Francophone schools increased by 198 per year. Okay? So that's something I know, right? In January 2003, there were 3,470 students in the school system, in the French schools. Okay? So I need to know two variables, because I need an X and a Y, don't I, Isha? What are the X's and the Y's?
3,470 and then the 190.
Not quite. The 3,470 is definitely an X or a Y. So it's, what's the X, though? The X is the independent variable. Look at the things we're counting there. We're counting years and numbers of kids. So what should X be? Years. So if X is years, then I have an X value right there of 2003, don't I? And what's my Y value in 2003? 3,470. And it tells me that every year I'm going up by 198. Which means when I go from 2003 to 2004, going up 1 year, how much is this going up by? 198, right? So it would be 30, I lie, it would be 3668. Cool? All right, so now we know that our slope must be rise 198 over run 1 year, correct? So my slope is 198. Cool? Now, there's a slope, and there's an X and a Y. So can I write point slope form now?
Yeah.
So it's Y, damn it, Y minus what? 3,470, because it's math class and we use numbers, equals M, what's my slope? 198 times X minus 2003. Everybody cool? Now, I don't know what they say in the answers. Let's check. That was number 18. Oh, okay, I see. Duh. My fault. I'm an idiot. I didn't read the whole question. I wanted it since 2001. Right? So how many years before that was that? It's 2 years, right? Because it goes up 198 per year, right? So it's a 1 year hop on the X, so that should have been 1, right? So that should have been minus 2. But the principle is the same. And then for this, use that equation. How many kids are there in 2005? So 2005 is 4 years later than when we started, right? So we would put 4 in for X, and Y is what we would be solving for. Okay? Any other questions? Okay. Let us then, cabbages, move on to page 204, I think it starts on. Yes, 204. That font, in case anybody cares, is called Chiller. Chiller. Do I personally like it? Like doing it myself? Yeah.
Or do you like how it looks?
I love how it looks. I think it's cool. When I was in grade 4, My grade 4 teacher was a very skilled calligrapher, and we spent a lot of time practicing.
Borrow a key to go to the bathroom.
Yes.
Thank you.
That, I think, Isha, might be part of my fixation with fonts now.
Oh, by your grade 4 teacher.
My grade 4 teacher cared so much about what writing looked like. My kids are very good calligraphers, actually. I was very surprised, but they're very good at it. All right. What we're going to do right now, again, you already know how to do it. You're just going to get a new name for it, okay? All right? Yes, Tavleen? Of course you can go to the washroom, Tavleen. So, before we go on, though, I want to remind you of Slope Intercept Form. What does Slope Intercept Form look like? Even though I've told you you don't have to memorize it, it makes your life easy if you do. What does it look like? mx plus b. Now, how do you know that you are in Slope Intercept Form? What must be the case? X has a coefficient. Can that coefficient be a fraction? Yes. Can it be a decimal? Yeah, because a decimal is just a fraction. Can it be a whole number? Yes. So X has a number with it. Does X have to have a number with it? If I just write X, does it technically have a number with it? What is it? 1. So X always has a number with it. That's one thing that lets you know you're in Slope Intercept Form. What's the second thing? There needs to be a constant. Can that constant be a fraction? Can it be a decimal? Can it be a whole number? Yes. Okay, what else tells you you're in Slope Intercept Form? The y is by itself. Everybody's good, yes? That's what Slope Intercept Form looks like. Everybody cool? All right. We've done Slope Intercept Form. We've done Point Slope Form or Slope Point Form, depending on which textbook you use. And now you can see right here, according to this title, there's a third form. And that third form is General Form. Now I'm going to write out General Form, and then I'm going to ask you guys to compare it to Slope Intercept. Okay? This is what General Form looks like. AX plus or minus by plus or minus c equals 0. How does the red equation compare to the black equation? What do you notice that's the same and what do you notice that's different? Isha.
There's a coefficient by the
X keeps a coefficient. Excellent. Good. Does anybody see another similarity? There's a constant in both, B and C. Excellent. Anybody see another? Okay, I would say that's a difference, but you're absolutely right. It is something that we need to be aware of. Everything's on one side here, and it all equals 0. What else? Let's just open it up. Talk to me about the red equation. What else is there? Nick? It looks harder? Okay. Okay, so you're missing one very important thing that's the same, and nobody has said it. I'm a little worried about that. Ethan? You're on the right track. I'm talking about a major similarity between the two. What? They both have y and x. Thank you. They both have an x and a y. Which means if I were to give you this 3, 7, what is that 3? That's an x. What is that 7? That's a y. Which means I could put 3 there and 7 there, Where else could I put 3 and 7? No. X and Y. Is everybody cool? Everybody sees that they share a bunch of characteristics, but they also have some differences. Everyone agrees? Okay. Now, the black slope intercept form doesn't have a lot of rules. It can have fractions, it can have decimals, it can have anything you want. This guy has some rules. And these are the rules. Rule 1. A, B, and C must not be decimals or fractions. They have to be whole numbers. Everybody cool? And we'll talk about that in a minute. There's another rule. A must be positive. Everything else can be negative, but A has to be positive. And the third rule about general form is A, B, and C must be on, oops, I got ahead of myself, on one side. Okay? Now, this rule right here has like a little side rule. If AX plus or minus BY equals C, they're not all on one side. This is what we call standard form. If they're all on one side, it's general form. If only the X and Y are on one side, it's standard form. Do you think I care too much about those names? No. But you need to recognize that each of these gives you different stuff. If you're in slope intercept form, you get the slope and the intercept, right? If you're in point slope form, you get the slope and a single point, right? If you're in standard form, it's real easy to find your X and Y intercepts because one of them will drop out. Everybody cool? All right, so now we're going to do what you already know how to do, but we're giving it a new name. Okay? So we are going to start with this equation. Is that in general or standard form? General. Excellent. It's a pain in the butt to graph, isn't it? If we were going to graph that blue highlighted equation, we would have to get a table of values, wouldn't we? Everyone agree? Okay, but watch what we can do. 3x minus 2y plus 8 equals 0. If I can turn it into that, then I can graph it without a table, can't I? How do I turn this into this? If I move that y, I get 3x plus 8 equals 2y, correct? Okay, no, because it started out negative, and I moved it. Okay, so now, is this looking closer to this? Yeah, what would I have to do to make this look like this? I would have to divide it by 2. Where else? The 3x and the 8. And what would that get me? 3 over 2x plus 4 equals y. Can we graph that in our sleep? How? Where do I start? 1, 2, 3, 4. And then up 1, 2, 3, and right 2. And then just to make sure, I go back to the start and down 1, 2, 3, and left 2. And there's my line. Does everybody see? Everybody understand? Now watch. What is that point right there? It's 2, 2, 7, correct? Everyone agree? What letter does that 2 represent? An X. What letter does that 7 represent? A Y. Remember, we started with 3x minus 2y plus 8 equals 0, right? X is a 2, so what do I write there? 2. What's 3 times 2? 6. Minus. What's that right there? 7. What's 2 times 7? 14. Plus 8 equals 0. What's 6 minus 14? Negative 8. What's negative 8 plus 8? 0. Does 0 equal 0? So, did we graph this line correctly? Yeah, because the x and the y worked in the original equation, and it worked here. But we didn't need to make a table of values, did we? We just changed it around to look like what we're comfortable with. Now, let's do it again. What form is that? Look again. Standard. If I wanted to graph this, yes? Yeah. I said that earlier. That general and standard form were good for finding intercepts. So, if we wanted to graph this, right now, it's table of values, isn't it? Yuck. Who needs that? Table of values stink. So what we're going to do is we're going to make this look like something we can graph easily, which is y equals mx plus b. How do I do it? I need to get y by itself. So, if I move the 3x over, I get negative 4y equals what? Well, I would do minus 3x plus 8, because we want this form, right? Okay. Then what? Divide by what kind of 4? Negative 4, because I need y by itself. So what goes here? What goes here? Negative 4. What goes here? Negative 4. What happens to these negative 4s? Cancel out. Y is now by itself. Yay. What happens to these two negatives? It's positive 3/4 x. What's 8 divided by negative 4? Negative 2. Can we graph that in our sleep? Make it so. Where do I start? Negative 2. And then what? Up. 1, 2, 3. And right. 1, 2, 3, 4. And down. 1, 2, 3. And left. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, just to prove my point, that point right there is negative 4, negative 5, right? Agreed? Yeah? That's an x, that's a y. What's 3 times negative 4? Negative 12. What's 4 times negative 5? Negative 20. 12 minus 20 would be negative 12 plus 20, wouldn't it? Is negative 12 plus 20 8? So we did it right. Everybody see? Everybody good? Now, Sam has given me away for the next question. X and Y intercepts. What form am I in? Standard form, right? 5x plus 2y equals 10. If I want the x-intercept, what is that? No. X and 0. If I want the y-intercept, what is it? 0, and y. If I want the x-intercept, what happens to the y value? It becomes 0. It vanishes, right? So what's going to happen to this 2y? It's going to be gone. So I'm going to have 5x equals 10, aren't I? What's going to happen to this x value? It's going to disappear. So what am I going to have? 2y equals 10. What do I do here? What do I do here? I divide by 5. So what does x equal? 10 divided by 5 is 5. You want to say that again? Right. So x equals 2. What does y equal? So now I come over here and I graph it. Where do I put the dot? 2 on the x and 5 on the y. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And what do I do? It's nice to get a third one. So down 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And right 2. Is everybody good with the easy stuff? Everybody can do the easy stuff? Because you'll notice we haven't talked at all about point slope form, have we? Is everybody good? All right. Turn the page over. Don't worry, we're going to do lots of practice. In number 10, I want you to draw a line down the middle of your page. Actually, don't draw it down the middle. Draw it down from the letter O, or from the of. On this side, write all 4 versions. See if you can remember them. Of equations. There's slope intercept. What does it look like? Don't say it out loud. Write it down. If you don't remember, don't write it. Then there's point slope. Then there's general and standard. Write down any you can remember. If you can't, it's no big deal because you don't have to memorize it. It's just helpful. So now, what is slope intercept form? Y? No. Y equals mx plus b. Excellent. What is point slope form? Y minus y1 equals m bracket x minus x1. And we know that these two are the special points, right? Okay. What's general form? ax plus or minus by plus or minus c equals 0. And standard form? Plus or minus by equals c. Everybody cool? So those are our 4 options, yes? Now, on the right side of the paper, I want you to write each of these equations, except now I'm telling you that you have 3 and 7. And, I'm not done, -3 and -5. So now, all of a sudden, what have I given you to work with? What is that? That's an x. What's that? Y. What's that? What's that? Great, go. Write one of these, each of these, using that information. Do as much as you can. Talk to your neighbor. If you are completely lost right now, you know you can just wait a second and we're going to go through it. But you should try it on your own. Try to write any of these that you can with that. I'll give you a hint. It's easiest if you start with one of these. Yes, Mason? Sometimes I like to play my face. Make all kinds of fun sounds with it. You look like apes. He's picking out the bugs to chow down on. Oh, no. All right. Is anybody ready to talk about one of these? Which? Oh, Brianne. Sure. You're almost on the right track. What do you notice that I have given you here? I've given you two x's and two y's, haven't I? What do you notice lives in point slope form? Two x's and two y's. So couldn't I use that? What could I put in for y? 7 minus 5, right? Which would be 7 plus 5, yes? Equals m. What would I put for the first x? 3 minus 3, which would be 3 plus 3, yes? What is 7 plus 5? 12 equals, what's 3 plus 3? 12 equals 6m. What do I do now? Divide by 6. And what do I get for m? M equals 2. Now, all of a sudden, do I know point slope form? What is it? It's y minus what? 7 equals 2x minus 3. That one works with that point. Could I do it with this point? What would it be if I use this point? Y plus 7? 5 equals 2 plus 3. Those are the exact same. Is everybody cool? Is everybody cool? So I've covered my point slope form right there. Now, I wanted all three, didn't I? So we better do a y equals mx plus b, right? Okay, so y equals mx plus b. Do I know m? What is it? 2. Y equals 2x plus b, correct? What letter is that? How many x's do you have? 2. Does it matter which one you use? Nope. What letter is that? How many letters, how many y's do we have? Does it matter which one we use? No. Now I would bet my entire life savings that all of you are automatically going to choose this x and y because there's no negatives. Would I be right? Yes, I would, Jack, you liar.
I used that one.
You used 3 and 7.
No.
Shut up, you used the 2 negatives.
Drop the book. I mean, that's what I was putting into my answers, at least.
Uh-huh.
I'm serious, Jinx.
Fortunately, I grew up bad with money and have no life savings. So there. I got none. Ha 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 ha.
I mean, I don't have any either.
Yeah, but your life has just started. I'm well over halfway through mine. All right, so average Canadian male lives 78 years. So halfway through your life is 39. I'm 42.
I don't want to die.
Nobody wants to die. Although that's not really true. There's plenty of people in the world that want to die every single day for various reasons. Some I agree with, some I do not. What? 82.4. Yeah. No, there's lots of reasons for it. Traditionally, men have done more dangerous jobs. The chances that I have an HDMI cord that you can borrow are 150% awesome because it's right there.
Perfect. Thank you. Can I keep it for next topic?
You keep it as long as you need.
Thank you, Miss Martin.
Now, all of you, that is how you make friends and influence people. Of course she did. I said it loud enough. When someone comes to you and says, "Do you have?" your answer is always yes or no, but let's get it. So if I had said no, I would have said, "I do not, but let's go find one." And then Miss Sloan is my best friend. See how easy it is? People are like, "I don't know how to make friends." Everybody needs something all the time. Have what they need or be able to find it. That's my lesson for the day. Back to math. Jack the liar says he is going to use these 2 negatives here. What would Jack the liar put for this x? -3. That's only because he wants my life savings. What did the rest of you put for that x? +3. What would Jack the liar put for y? -5. Oh, I'm Jack. I'm so smart. What would the rest of us put for y? 7. I can't even keep a straight face. All right, but the point is, do I have x's and y's to put in there? Will that allow me to find b? Okay, so because I love Jack as if he were my own, we have y equals 2x plus b. Jack put in -5 equals 2 times -3 plus b, right? -5 equals, what's 2 times -3? -6 plus b. What do I do with that -6 if I need b by itself? I bring it over here, and what does it become? +6. What's +6 minus 5? 1 equals b. 1 equals b. What letter is that? What does b equal? 1. So what is slope intercept form? Y equals what? 2x plus 1. Now, I'm halfway to getting the job done, right? Because the last thing I want are these 2. What do I have to do to this? What do I have to do to this to make it look like that? What do I got to do to this to make it look like that? It's pretty simple. I move the y. I'm only going to move the y because x is positive and I need a positive x, don't I? So all I got to do is have 2x minus y plus 1 equals 0. And that gets me general form. How do I get standard form? 2x minus y equals negative 1. Can everybody do this? What is the key thing to remember? Every form has x's and y's, right? Every point on the graph is what? An x or a y. Which means every number from the graph or from a coordinate can be plugged in to any of the versions of the equation. Is everybody good? Okay, let's look at what the hardest this can get is what we're about to do. I want this form, point slope form, to be in general form. General form is ax plus by plus c equals 0. Talk to me about what this has right now and what it's not allowed to have over here. What do I have to get rid of from here? I got to get rid of the fraction. What else? What else would I have to get rid of? What? Oh, how'd you know? The hand signals threw you off? They were supposed to help you. Because it was supposed to be, what else? But I went that way. Kids these days. All right. So, I have to get rid of the fraction and the brackets, yes? So let's have a look at that and see if you guys can remember how that is accomplished. I start with my original equation. And I rewrite it because I'm not lazy. Well, I try to rewrite it. While we are waiting for my computer, you guys will rewrite this equation on the left over here. Go. I will be showing you in one moment. I'm going to show you in like 1 second, I promise. Well, it'll be longer than a second because we have bought paperweights instead of computers. So it appears to be just my pen that is no longer working. I don't know. Apparently. The magic battery, take out, shake it, and put it back in, made it work. Okay. So, we rewrite y minus 4 equals 2/3 x plus 2. Now, my good friend Brianna said she wants to get rid of those brackets. And we have to get rid of those brackets, right? And she says, well, couldn't I distribute that in? Would that work? Of course it would, but how many of you like dealing with fractions? Put your hands up, be honest, it's your favorite thing. Like you wake up Christmas morning and you're like, oh, I hope Santa left me some fractions. No, you all hate fractions. So, how do I, just wait, guys, how do I get rid of fractions? For example, if I told you x over 2 equaled 5, what would you do to get rid of that 2? You would multiply by 2, wouldn't you? So getting rid of a fraction, if you multiply by the denominator, it takes care of itself, right? So what could I multiply this side by to take care of the denominator? 3. If I multiply this side by 3, what happens to those 3's? They cancel, which leaves me with what? 2x plus 2. Is my fraction gone? Awesome. If I multiplied the right side by 3, what do I got to do to the left side? Multiply it by 3. What's 3 times y? 3y. Minus, what's 3 times 4? Negative 12. Everybody cool? Now, looking at what we have there, now what do we have that we aren't allowed to have? How do we get rid of them? Now we multiply in, but now the fraction's gone and all of a sudden it's easy, isn't it? 3y minus 12 equals 2x plus 4. Now all I got to do is make this look like this. What there is perfect and I shouldn't touch? The x, because he's positive. So x isn't moving, which means everybody else is. What's happening to this y? It's moving where? To the right. And what's going to happen to him? 2x minus 3y. Is that guy in the right spot? We haven't done anything to the 4. Is that guy in the right spot? So where does he go? To the right. And becomes what? Plus 12. But I've already got plus 4 over here. So what do I really have? Plus 16. And what does all that have to equal? 0. Is that and that the same thing now? Have we done our job? Darn tootin' we have. Now, just wait 1 second. Wait 1 second. In point-slope form, what is the point that we would start this graph from? 2? Negative 2 and positive 4. Agreed? That's the point we'd start from, yeah? Is that an x? Is that a y? What's 2 times negative 2? Negative 4. What's negative 3 times 4? Negative 12. What's negative 4 take away 12? Negative 16. Plus 16 equals what? 0. See how they all work together. Everybody? Prove it. Do the exact same thing, but now I want all the forms. So we start with this. Y plus 3 equals negative 1/2 x minus 1. Change that into y equals mx plus b and ax plus by plus c equals 0 and ax plus by equals c. Go. Talk to your neighbor if you need to.
I just missed this right here. So like how you went from the x plus 2 to like the x4?
You distributed. Okay. 2x plus 2 times 2.
Okay.
All right. I'm not going to do it all. I would like to ask if anybody would like to share what they did first. What was your first move, Brianna? So you're trying to get to one of these forms because you're trying to get rid of the fractions, right? Everybody agree? Did everybody try that? Get rid of the fraction?
Yes.
Anybody didn't? All right. So Brianna, everyone's in agreement with you. So we're going to do what Brianna says. She multiplied both sides by what number? 2. So what did that give you on the left? Plus 6 equals negative 1. Excellent. Now what did you do? You expanded your brackets to get 2y plus 6 equaled negative x, yeah, negative 1x, plus 1. Cool. Are everybody happy with Brianna's move so far? Josh? Because I had to multiply this whole side by 2. Because I multiplied this side by 2. Mason, did you put your hand up there or were you just scratching your head or something? Okay. You're not sure if you were asking a question or if you were scratching your head? Are you okay with what Brianna has done? Okay. Now, this is awfully close to this now, isn't it? What has to happen? Is that x allowed to be negative? So where's he going? He has to go over there. What happens when he comes over here? X. Is that allowed? Yeah, because there's really a 1 there, isn't there? Okay. Plus 2y, because he's already there. Is this 1 allowed to be here? No. So he's got to come over. What happens to him? He adds to the 6. He's coming over the equal sign, so he's negative, right? So this becomes 6 minus 1, which is what? Plus 5. And what does all that equal? 0. Am I covered there and there now? Excellent. Now, what is the easiest one to go to next? Standard form, because what's the only thing that's got to move, Nick? The 5. So if I go x plus 2y equals negative 5, do I get standard form? Yep. And what's the only thing left now? Y equals mx plus b. So what do I got to do here to get to the green? What do I got to do? I got to isolate the y. So what's got to happen with this x? He's got to get out of there. So I'm going to have, I'm starting with 2y equals negative 5. I'm moving that x. So 2y equals what? Negative x minus 5. Nice job, Mason. What do I do with the 2? Divide by 2. Y equals, what's the number that's really in front of x?
1.
So negative 1 over 2x minus 5 over 2. Is that allowed in this form? Yeah, it is. And look at how much math you guys just did. And I might add that you got all the way to the blue without me saying a word. That was Brianna and you guys sorting this stuff out. Now, I'm not going to lie to you because I am not in the business of lying to you people. I tell you the truth even though when it hurts your feelings. The vast majority of the world cannot do this. If you walked up to somebody on the street and said, hey, how's your algebra? The vast majority of the people would say, my algebra what?
I'd say that if a random person said, how's your algebra?
I mean, I'd be very confused.
The point I am trying to make is always this. You guys always say, I'm never going to need this in real life. And of course the answer is probably not. But you're never going to need to be able to deadlift 500 pounds. But there's plenty of people that try to. Right? You're never going to need to be able to throw a football 100 yards. Are you? In real life. I've lived 42 years. Never once have I had to throw a ball any distance. Ever. I choose to, but I don't have to. All right. So you guys are now good to go. On page 206, I have done the same thing I did last day. The green ones, I suggest you do every part of that question. The blue ones, I suggest you do some of them. And there it all is on one page. Yep, that's the only work tonight. And it's just like yesterday. If you want to do more, you'll get better. If you want to do the bare minimum, there it is. Green ones, all. Blue ones, some. So for example, number 18 has A, B, C, D. If you did 2 of them, you'd be in business.
Oh, yes.
This is being recorded anyway, so you don't need to write it down now. You can just click on YouTube and slide right to the end of the video. Especially now that he's subscribed.
Here's wrong shoutouts. Maybe even more of those.
Oh, yeah? I bet Ethan's dad subscribed last night, too. Oh, my son's a math wizard now.
I might have to unsubscribe for calling me a liar.
I've met your parents, Jack. I think they would appreciate the humor.
Oh, they would.
You'll just punish me and lower my subscribers from 137 back to 136? I'll be wounded.
I know.
Huh? I don't know. Let's find out.
Hacking and going onto your sister's account.
Look at the break the contract, like page really fast, so either way it's happening.
137, baby. Ethan's number 137.
Who's the number? Oh, dude, are you gonna look?
Huh? What? Do I what?
No, it's a popular channel, it's not.
No, my son goes to all these idiot crap things.
Yo, mine is toys.
My son does all of this. It makes me look stupid.
Tasty. I want Ryan's Toys reviews.
I'm not gonna lie. I do subscribe.
Toy reviews.
I do subscribe to this guy because he's an old friend of mine and now he's like a karate wizard.
Oh.
He's super karate guy and I do karate. And I subscribe to Johnny Octave because he's a good guitar teacher. And I was trying to teach my daughter to play guitar even though I don't know how, so I had to try and learn. And Andy Guitar is also a good guitar guy. I have no idea who Cargsy is. No, because I don't know what it is. My son, I let my son go anywhere on the internet he wants. I'm scared to hit that
I
button.
mean, you can't post inappropriate things. So.
Yeah, you can. They just often get removed. What? Oh, brother. Did this happen? Did this just happen? Woo! 138! That would be a dick move. All right.